Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me for a daily spark with Dr. Imra. I'm your host, Dr. Imra Tester. You know what I want to do on my show. I want to enlighten you, inspire you, and empower you to become your best self. Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And today we want to get you fired up about empowering yourself. Today we're talking about the quest for your empowered self. How do you use proven techniques so people can access their empowered self to live, to thrive, and to produce like they've never done before? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today with my guest, Tom Ventimiglia. And today I want you to definitely take a listen. Now, he's an author, but also a professor of counseling. He has written 2 books, Quest for the Empowered Self and Managing Stress and Well-Being. Tom is a certified EFT, that's Emotional Freedom Technique, and has been given EFT training to professional therapists in California, including the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. He's presented workshops for decades at community colleges and universities, promoting his personal growth book, and works professionally to help people heal. He also hosted the first educational television show on EFT called Tapping into Wellness, Energy Medicine for the 21st Century, and received a Telly Award, among others, in educational television for his personal growth program. Tom has been a professor of counseling working in community colleges for over 28 years, and his books and television programs sell in college bookstores and universities across our country. He wrote the curriculum for 2 college courses that meet general education to transfer to all California state universities, and his books, well, they're used for that purpose as well. Tom specializes in energy psychology techniques like EFT, among 9 others that help people heal with trauma. He has worked successfully on vets coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as women who have been raped. They come to Tom after years of not being helped by traditional therapy. Well, you know what I'm going to say. Get comfy, get cozy, and get ready, because I am about to give Tom the mic. Good morning, Tom. Thank you so much for being on Daily Spark with Dr. Isabel today.
Sure, nice to be here. How you doing?
I am well. Thank you for asking. I'm so excited because I love it when people are already working in a particular field, in a particular industry, because I know that you are filled with just so much information. So I'm definitely going to pick your brain today. So let me ask you, how have your techniques helped others empower themselves? Since that's something that we talk about here on the show.
Yeah, so I've been a professor of counseling at Palomar College. It has about 25,000 students, and I've been doing that for about 28 years and giving seminars over the past few decades. And I find that there's a lot of people who just don't know their main values, their personality strengths, their motivations, and the gifts they came into the world with. And my book, Quest for the Empowered Self, asks key questions. And it's a workbook that students write the answers to, and some of the questions are, it might be like, what kind of activities give you your greatest worth and happiness? If you had unlimited resources or knew you couldn't fail, then what would you pursue? And there are several of these types of questions that they answer, and it helps them to identify who they are, their identity, where they're going in life. That's their direction, why they're going there, their purpose, and how to get there, their strategy for getting there. So the book was written so people can be a force for good and service to the world community while combining biblical spiritual lessons with positive psychology. So maybe think of it this way. Let's say you're 21 years old and you want to become a nurse because everyone tells you it makes money. And you want to have a family with kids in the future. So you first have to know yourself to know if nursing is right for you. It's like, right? We're a car, and we have to know we need that car to go where we want it to go. So once we know what kind of car we have that God gave us and the destination we want to pursue and how to overcome the obstacles of getting that car to that destination, then we get what we want in life. And so we're the car, and if our engine doesn't run well or our tires are flat, like our self-esteem is low, those things make us want to quit when we run into obstacles, and that's going to be a long slog. So the book is helping students to kind of work on themselves so that they can be empowered and get what they want in their life.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say that the techniques are proven, and, you always have that one person that says, proven on who? How do we know? Right. How do you use them? So what do you say to the person that asks that question?
As I mentioned, I've been counseling and teaching classes for 28 years, and I've given seminars to business groups, the community, health industry, taught therapists these healing techniques that heal trauma. And I'd say the first 7 years of counseling and teaching, I tried a variety of techniques that address empowering the self. And many worked, and others didn't work. And so I took only the ones that worked, that were reported back to me, hey, this changed my life. And I wrote the book with only those techniques. And that was the first edition. Boy, that was 20 years ago. And I'm on the 6th edition now, so I've added many other techniques that are all backed by research, and the research is on my webpage, which is tappingintowellness.com.
Now, what types of issues or concerns have you found that perhaps you get the most feedback from? I don't want to say that you've been the most successful with, because if you talk to each person and if they feel better and, they've gone from a 1 to a 7 as far as on the happiness scale, then you were successful with them. But are there any particular types of issues or concerns that you have found that you seem to be the most successful in, or people come back to you with the most response?
Yeah, I'd say it has to be around stress and anxiety. And especially I find with the millennials, those that are high school and college age and in their 20s, a lot of them are facing a lot of social phobia. And I believe that social media, like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, things like that, are creating a lot of this as they tell me. And, how many likes do they get? How does that affect their self-esteem? All this is creating a lot of anxiety and even panic attacks. So they fear, even when they're around other people, they feel like they're being judged by others. And most likely, most of the time, they're not, but it feels like they are. So I'll work with people that have social anxiety, people that get panic attacks. Where, like I mentioned, the college that I work at, 25,000 students in the particular college. There's more veterans at that college than the other 110 community colleges in California. So I get a lot of vets that, they have PTSD. You can't ask them that, though, because they won't say that. But if you ask, do you have anxiety? Do you have insomnia? Do you have hypervigilance? Oh, yeah, I have that. I remember I worked with one vet. He had a panic attack, and the doctor and the nurse at Health Services couldn't stop the panic attack, and they called me up, and I said, when did it start? He said, I was just in class, and I just started, my heart started beating fast, and I just got this panic attack. I said, give me a one-word feeling word of what you felt right beforehand. And he said, I felt confined because these two women were sitting a little bit too close to me. I said, here's the magic question. What does feeling confined remind you of? And he said, being in a Humvee in Iraq and being shot at. I said, well, there's your panic attack. So I applied the EFT technique to him, and within a minute, panic attack stopped. So we're helping people with whatever stress they're going through is fun for me. I like the challenge of, okay, give me what you got. I want to use my knowledge to see if I can get this down as quick as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a lot of people do not achieve their goals because they self-sabotage. And I'll look at a transcript and I'll see A's and B's, and then a couple semesters later, lots of D's and F's. And I always ask the question, if you got your college degree or if you transfer to the university, what's the negative? And they'll say, I don't know, it's more positive. I said, okay, what's the positive of you staying at the community college and not transferring? Oh, well, so I can keep an eye on my boyfriend. Oh, why do you need to keep an eye on your boyfriend? Well, he cheated on me. So they don't know they're self-sabotaging their grades. They're always not aware of the subconscious reasons why they might be performing at below level.
You know, it's so good that they do have access to you and that they're able to walk through the steps with you, especially when you're having the panic attack. And I love how you were able to ask those individual questions and within a fairly short period of time kind of get to the heart of what's going on. Now, when someone hears, you know, being confined reminds me of being in the Humvee and being shot at while I was in Afghanistan, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. If you don't understand what's going on with that guy, then you just don't understand the dynamics of human behaviors. So I love that you were able to get him to that point and he was able to articulate what he was feeling with you and do it in a way in which he was able to address it, but also start to move past it and not have to be continually triggered by those around him, that he was able to get to his safe place. That's awesome.
Yeah. And you use the right word there, trigger. And it's finding what is triggering whatever is going on with the person, whether it's anxiety or depression or grief or whatever it is.
That is so true. Now, how do you help others, and we kind of touched on it a little bit when I was reading your bio, how do you help others decide on a major or what career is really best for them? Because I'm sure there's someone saying, you know what, I've been a liberal arts major for 2 years now, and I know that I need to do something. I need to pick something, but how do I know what to pick or how to choose? Or I'm really good at like 4 or 5 different things. How do I select the one that's best for me? Right.
And it's always it's hard because there's so many majors and careers out there that it's overwhelming for a lot. So in chapter 1 of my book, I have them identify their values and their interests and their abilities, type of personality they have, their motivations, that help them identify careers, as well as a mission statement that they write on how they want to live their life. And my book has an interest inventory to give a sense of which industry they would like to work in. But also I have them look at what they're good at. And what's missing in most community colleges is they'll give an interest inventory or a personality inventory, but they don't give an aptitude test or an abilities test. So you could have an interest in something, but you might not be good at it. You know, you might not be good in the sciences, so going and majoring in biology probably isn't for you. You know, what are you good at, and what are you interested in? If you can get both of those, then people's motivation tends to go up. So I take them through that part of the book, and when we narrow down a few careers and majors, in chapter 5 of the book, there's something called the decision maker, where they list the careers or the major that they want. And like you said, it could be 3, 4, 5 different ones. You know, how do I pick? And I have them choose what values matter to you when you pursue a different career. So is it how much pay do you want? Okay, what do you give that on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, an 8. Okay. How about fulfillment? What is that? Oh, it's a 9. Okay. And they list their values, and then you ask how much of that career fulfills each value, and you give that a number, and at the end you multiply the numbers and add down, and the one with the bigger number is the one that they ought to pursue. And afterwards they always say, you know what, that's that's the one I was kind of leaning toward, but I wasn't sure, but now it makes sense. And it's not, I can't tell them what to go into because this is based on their values, and that's why I really like it, because it's suited to them.
I like it. And it's really funny because most of the time we already know what the answer is. Sometimes we just have to kind of be reminded that we know what the answer is. So I like that test. Well, Tom, it is time for us to take a very short break. But before we do that, I want to make sure that everyone is reminded, if you could please, what is the title of your book again? Where do we pick up a copy? And how do we follow you online?
So the name of my book is Quest for the Empowered Self. And you can go to my website, which is tappingintowellness.com. And on the website, you'll see the books there. I have ebooks, DVDs. I'm a musician, so I've written music that reflects the material, and that's where you can go. And there's another book I wrote called Quest for Your Empowered Self. It's similar to the Quest for the Empowered Self, but it has a little bit less information, and people can usually find that on Amazon or.
All righty, listeners, now you know where you can pick up a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for a Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. Today we are talking about the quest for your empowered self. And who doesn't want to be empowered, right? That's what this show is all about. We want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you. So, Tom, how does emotional freedom technique work? And is it congruent with Bible teachings? There may be someone saying, listen, I'm a Christian, and I don't know about all this science psych stuff. I don't want to do anything that's going to conflict with my faith.
Right. And for those that are religious, whenever I use EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, we'll invite the Holy Spirit to join us in session, and that always makes it more powerful. I am certified in this technique that helps heal trauma, eliminates emotional and physical pain, zaps stress and anxiety. It actually can even get rid of cravings. If you're craving chocolate and you're trying to lose weight, you can tap on these points on your body and saying, I really want this chocolate, and within a minute or two, the craving will go away. You can use it to increase your mood. You can use it, really, the guy that developed it, Gary Craig, he said you can use it on any issue you want and address it. So the technique combines tapping, acupuncture, and pressure points while saying a reframe statement that helps the mind to see the truth and reality of things so we can let it go and give the mind and body what it needs. So you're tapping on these acupuncture points on the body, like by the eye, on the side of the eye, under the lip, under the arm, and we're tapping on these points while we're saying a statement like, even though I have this stress and anxiety, which reminds me of my brother who did this to me, I allow it to let it go, and I trust I'll be able to handle this situation, something like that. And I teach a class at the college called Managing Stress and Well-Being, and wrote the book with the same title, which also can be found on the website, tappingintowellness.com. And I teach a lot of stress techniques from mindfulness to breathing techniques, visualization, progressive muscle relaxation, qigong, you name it. But I found that nothing works as quick as EFT. And if you go to the website, you'll see testimonies and success stories that seem like miracles when you read them. A lot of times I didn't even think it would work because the issue seemed so tough. But I worked with a guy, for example, who had been to every doctor he could find for 10 years because he had this lower back pain and hip pain that he had for about 10 years. And the doctor said he'll have to live with it for the rest of his life because of his herniated disc, which was a 9, which is very high. And I connected the pain with the guilt he felt around leaving his wife and 5 kids in one session, and he had made some changes. And after, about talking with him about it and tapping on the points, the pain was gone. And he got up. He's like, wait, how could this be? And he walked around, and sure enough, it was gone in one session. And he had been to doctors for the last 10 years trying to work this out.
Right.
Worked on someone else who, again, had this physical pain. He was set up for surgery. He could barely walk. And I connected that with guilt he felt, and worked. We tapped on the guilt, and within one session, pain was gone, and he canceled the surgery.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stories like that. There was even someone that was at health services at the college. He was frying on LSD, believe it or not. And the doctors and the nurse said, we don't know what to do with this guy. Can you use that EFT technique? And I said, oh, God, I have no idea if this would work or not. I wouldn't expect to, but sure, I will. And so I was tapping with the guy and saying, even though I'm frying on LSD, I allow myself to sober up. And we're tapping on all the points. And in 10 minutes, he snapped out of it. And it surprised me, and it surprised the staff. So I have lots of stories like that can be read on the website. But it can be used for medical conditions like arthritis, asthma, constipation, diabetes, fatigue, headaches, insomnia. Whatever you have, you can use the technique to aim it at whatever you're going through.
Now, how does someone's listening and they're saying, I hear all of that, but I don't really know how to access this empowered self that is supposed to be within me. So how do you help explain finding this empowered self? What is it? How do we get to it? And how do we keep it once we have it?
Right. Well, I find most books are written with just words where people are just intellectualizing the information, and hopefully it'll be applied. But the book that I have, Quest for the Empowered Self, is a workbook that has 56 high-powered strategies to use to gain access to your empowered self so you can take action on your personal life goals. It also has 168 exercises that enhance your personal growth in various areas that I had to write down here because there's a lot of areas here. Time management, creativity, managing stress, grieving, problem solving, decision making, money management, emotional intelligence, taking responsibility, identifying distortions in logic and self-beliefs. That's something that I find all of us have. A lot of times we'll minimize something or we'll maximize something, and it's real important that we look at, are we thinking about something accurately? Raising self-esteem, valuing diversity, getting support from others, changing negative attitudes, clarifying cultural, religious, and societal value systems, life balance, communication strategies, how to deal with difficult personalities. We all have those in our life. And how to resolve a conflict and kind of improve your relationships. So those are the strategies and the exercises in the book help people access their empowered self. I don't think you can just read a book and do it. I think you need to be involved in the process while writing it down.
Absolutely. And I think that you kind of nailed it there, that most people just write about it from a very intellectual point of view, and there's not that practical application. And I think it makes sense to people, but they don't know how to apply it. And that's the same thing that I do when we're talking about Christian empowerment, and how do we make the scripture alive? How do we apply it to our lives? It's great to hear it, but what do I do with this information? So I love that example that you just gave, that there's exercises that you can do, and I think that will really and truly make the difference. That's awesome that you do that. Now, for someone who may be saying, I think I know where you want me to go, and I need to do the exercises, and that will help me choose the right path, and, if it's schooling or career. But how do you help people know if they're in the right romantic relationship or not? Does it work when it comes to our love lives as well?
Oh, yes. In fact, I find that people are often confused as to, whether they're in the right relationship or not. And I find people have sex too fast in the relationships, which blinds them to seeing the red flags in people that they normally would drop otherwise. Does that make sense? And so some of those red flags might be, addiction issues or anger issues or being a victim, lots of things that are red flags that need to be addressed, and we can kind of just let those go. But in Chapter 8 of the book, people will learn the 5 romantic love myths, the 6 wrong reasons for starting a relationship, 8 categories of relationships that won't work, 8 character defects that ruin a relationship, and then the 8 qualities to look for in a partner. And one quick way of determining, gosh, am I with the right person or not? You can kind of ask yourself these 4 questions. 1, would I want to have a child with this person? 2, would I want to have a child just like this person? 3, do I want to become more like this person? In other words, are there characteristics that you find valuable in the other? And 4, would I be willing to spend the rest of my life with this person if he or she never changed from the way they are today? Because so many of us want to change the other person or rescue the other person, and a lot of people don't change, so it's kind of unfair for us to expect that. So would you be with them the rest of your life if they never changed? And sometimes that question will do it alone.
Yeah, no, because I was going to ask you, I said, what about the person that says, well, you know what, Tom, I hear what you're saying, but I can work with them, I can change them, I can get, just give me a year with him and he'll be a totally different person. But I love that question. What would happen if he or she never changed? Are you still going to be okay with the rest of your life with the person the way that they are right now today?
Right.
Whoa, that's a good one.
It reminds me of when you were talking, it reminded me of a quote. I think it was from a movie, and then the woman says, I love him for the man he almost is.
Right. Because in her mind, she's like, I'm telling you, give me 6 months and I'll whip him into shape.
Yes, I have that magic power.
And that is definitely something that women say all of the time. It's like, I love him exactly the way he is, and I'm going to change this, that, and a little bit of that, and he'll be a great guy. So that is a great question that you've posed there.
Yeah, I call it going on a rescue mission.
Yeah. And I like how you said that some people really and truly are choosing people because they're dealing with their own version of savior complex, and they're purposely choosing people that they feel that they need to save. And then they wonder why the relationship ends up the way that it does, and toward the end of the relationship. So you're really hitting on something there, Tom. I can feel my listeners going, ooh, wow, that might be me. Pick up a copy of the book.
that was me when I was single. I did attract to the woman that I was struggling with something, and I wanted to be the one that helped them and this and that. So I saw it in myself, and I knew I had to change that.
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be helpful, but that
Yeah.
savior thing is where people kind of go off the deep end, and you know, it can really and truly sabotage so many people, especially those who don't realize that that's the point of reference at where they're coming from in the relationship. They're just, no, I'm just a helpful person. I'm super empathetic. I just have all of these resources, and I'm just an awesome person. I just want to help him be awesome. And it's like, I hear what you're saying, but I also hear what you're saying. So most definitely, I'm telling you, I know everyone who is nodding their heads. If you raised your hand or you think it might be you, probably pick up a copy of the book and go through the rest of the questions, because that is awesome. Now I want to ask you one more question. We only have about a minute or so left in the show, but for that person who says, I need to obtain better balance in my life, is there one bit of information, one nugget that you can give to them to help them find that sense of balance?
Yeah, at the end of Chapter 2 in Quest for the Empowered Self, I call it the Power Hour, and it's the idea that you spend 15 minutes a day in 4 of the key life areas. One is the spiritual area, where you're praying or you're journalizing, you're reflecting, you're spending 15 minutes doing that. And sometimes when I do that, it's been a while since I've done that, I was like, God, Tom, where have you been? You've been lost. It's so important that we do that. And then spend at least 15 minutes moving your body in the physical area, the spiritual, physical area, moving your body. I don't care how you move your body, just get that heartbeat up. 3 in the aspirational areas, 15 minutes planning your goals, writing down your to-do list for the goals that connect with your mission statement. And 4 in the social area of life, intimately connecting with others, friends, family, whoever, that we spend 15 minutes a day doing that. And so if we do it in the spiritual area, the physical area, the aspirational area, and the social area, we get that sense of balance at the end of the day and throughout the week and throughout the month. And I find it's simple to understand, but sometimes it can be hard to put into action. And so I write it down in my calendar and check it off, and that helps me stay on track.
I love it. I love it. Well, Tom, thank you so much for spending time with me today on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with you today. Before we go, though, if you would please, can you remind everyone one more time, what is the name of your book? Where can we pick up a copy? And how do we follow you online?
Yes. Name of the book is Quest for the Empowered Self. I have another book called Managing Stress and Well-Being, and you can go to tappingintowellness.com, where you can find the book, the ebook, DVDs, audio CDs, music that I've written that reflect the material, because I find a lot of people, some are inspired by reading, but some people by listening to music or watching the DVD. So you can go to that website and find everything you need there.
I love it. Tom Ventimiglia, thank you so much for being on today.
Dr. Angela, great to be here. Thanks so much.
And listeners, thank you as well for tuning in. And as always, may the Lord continue to shine His face upon you. May you receive His grace and His mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, be blessed in the Lord. Bye-bye.